Do you feel composed on the outside but stuck on the inside? What about patterns that helped you succeed that are starting to cost you something? And what happens when pressure builds and your nervous system reaches for the same old response, whether that still serves you or not? That's what this episode of The Underlayer is about, to show where we go beneath the surface, try to find out what's really driving behavior. I'm David Young, your host. I work with coaches and consultants to help their businesses run leaner, earn more, and take less of their time. And today I'm joined by Mandy Morris, a licensed professional counselor, executive psychology coach, and an EMDR clinician. She's also a TEDx speaker and creator of The Internal Edge, a neuroscience-informed framework for high achievers, and co-founder of So Free, where she works as the chief of mental health science. We'll talk about how pressure reveals hidden patterns, why insight alone is usually not enough to change them, and what it actually takes to lead with more clarity and steadiness instead of constantly overriding your own nervous system. Mandy, thanks for coming on the show. Welcome.
Thanks, David.
Yeah,
Good to be here.
So let's just start. I assume everybody knows what we mean by nervous system regulation, but just in case someone doesn't, just high level, just explain kind of like what that means, regulating your nervous system.
Yeah, so everybody has a nervous system. It's nerves that go from our body, from the top of our head to the tips of our toes. And it's, part of our threat response. It's part of what regulates mood, digestion. There's lots of things that go into the nervous system. The biggest thing that we associate nervous system with, though, is stress, anxiety. We need our nervous system for when a threat happens so that we can get the adrenaline dumped so we can, fight back or flee. But what used to be the saber-toothed tiger is now our email and our notifications and our boss. So now our nervous system gets all out of whack because of evolution.
Yeah, I don't think it was designed for the multiple Slack channels, 6 social media channels, constant email updates, instant access to all information at all times. I don't think that was part of the program.
Not part of the design. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think most people have a phone, most people have a smartphone, and if you're not careful, it just takes over your life. Like you can just spend all day. I mean, I feel like everybody's attached to it. My kids have phones now. It's never more than an inch away from their hands. They're constantly checking it. And they don't even do anything on it. Like there's not even anything important for them to even be looking at. But yet, like they're just addicted to the moving. I always say just moving colored pictures. That's all you guys use your phone for.
Stimulation.
So, yeah. And then they get hooked in the Instagram shorts and the YouTube shorts. And like I'll watch my son, he just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. And I'm like, that's just one useless video after another. You're literally getting nothing out of that.
Except for dopamine hits.
Well, right. Yeah, the dopamine. But like, doesn't that get old? Like, don't you want to just stop watching it? And it's like, no, I can do this for hours. And then you factor in like, working adults, and you got, family and friends and group chats and multiple Slacks and email and work email. And I mean, I have like 4 personal email accounts that I use, which I don't even know why, as I say that out loud, but I do. And then you've got work, and you just like you're just kind of constantly, I feel like you're just constantly checking to see what you should be checking.
Yeah. And then if you're, because we're now trained to be that way, and we literally can run our business from the computer on our phone. If we don't have it, then we feel like we're falling behind. And then we get into the sort of, again, fear response. And then, the monkey mind starts worrying about all the things that you haven't done. And now I might lose my job because I haven't looked at my phone. I mean, you're not consciously thinking that, but very deep in the subconscious is all these fears because you don't have your phone right on you.
Yeah, you almost just feel completely naked, like in the wilderness. Like when you with your phone, if anybody's ever like lost their phone, I mean, it's complete panic, right? Because like everything is in there, your calendar, all your contacts, like all your information is like there, and if it's gone for like 2 minutes, you're like, oh my God, it's my whole life.
Yeah. I think of it as like pseudo safety.
Yeah, that's a good term. We went to Gatlinburg last year for spring break, 5 days, and I mandated that everyone, and myself included, like basically no devices,
Yeah.
no iPads, no phones other than like maps to wherever we were going.
Mhm.
We were just taking a break. We colored, we played like board games,
Nice.
um, and then obviously most of the time was spent, kind of hiking and out and about. And everything was fine. Like the world didn't
Yeah.
end. We all survived.
Yeah.
Like it was great.
Yeah.
Like it was so
Yeah.
freeing and comforting to like just
Mhm.
not have to like check my phone and
Mhm.
look at LinkedIn or check
Right.
text messages, like all that
Right.
stuff.
And
And
I
it's
bet your nervous system was more regulated.
oh yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
Because I just literally removed it. Now, obviously,
Mhm.
that's not possible for most people. In this modern life, like you can't just be like, well, that's it, I'm out. Um, so I don't
I
know. How
do
did
recommend tech-free zones in your
What do you mean?
house.
What do you mean by that? Oh, like certain spaces in the house where you don't use it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. Like this is a no phone zone. This is a no screen zone. This is a where I just think or am creative, but there's
hmm.
no phones allowed here, and the whole family knows.
Interesting.
Because it kind of becomes this sort of peaceful place, and it's interesting if you can get in a habit of making that a part of the household rule, or even for yourself, you'll find you start to like crave it.
Yeah,
Because
you like
once you
look
start to
forward to it.
experience it and you experience the fact that you don't fall apart, and then you experience the relief you feel from having the break from it, then you start to want it more. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's good. I'm trying to think how can I implement that. My Most of my family, they take their phones to the bathroom,
Oh,
and as someone with
bathrooms is
OCD, first of all, I think it's disgusting. Um, I've never taken my phone. And I'm not talking public. I'm talking in the house.
right,
And I'm like, first of all, how long are you planning on being in there? Like, can you just leave the phone out? Like, it's
right.
not a long trip here. And second of all, like, sh- what do you? Like, you're on it all the time anyway. You can't just take like a 5-minute bathroom break to be phone free. I don't know. It's just drives me
So maybe
crazy.
you can start implementing bathroom times
Should we not take
in
it to the
free time.
bathroom? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but yeah. But the I work 3 days a week. I have a contract full time job currently, and I'm there 3 days a week. And I've seen people bring it like into the public bathroom, which again is completely disgusting. Um, and it's like I've watched a guy use the urinal, one hand doing his business and one hand holding the phone up, and I'm like, I don't like. What are we doing? Like,
Right,
how long this doesn't take a long time. This is not
right.
a long process. Like leave the phone at your
Mhm,
desk, man. That show pauses. All the
mhm,
shows, Netflix, YouTube, there's a pause button. It's not going to play without you. This is
mhm,
not 1982. You don't have to be live,
mhm. Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just
But
that
that's
addiction.
further confirmation, yeah, of how addicted everybody is to their
Yeah, like I
phones.
can't even take 2 minutes to walk to the bathroom and then come back and just resume programming
Mhm.
like I have.
Because there's literally anxiety that is felt when that is put away, when it's
Hmm.
separate from you. That's why people don't do it. It's because it doesn't feel good to not have it with me, so I don't care if I'm taking a pee and I'm having it
Yeah,
in the other hand, because I don't like how it feels to not have it with
to
me.
not have it. Yeah, I read this many years ago. It's kind of before I think streaming was relatively new, certainly not what it is today. And it was saying that like it was really talking. It was like kind of political and governments, but the point was that basically, as a society, as long as a majority of society has like enough food and general safety, shelter, and then entertainment. So those were like
Mhm,
the three things that basically governments can do whatever they want
mm,
because people are too distracted to notice.
yeah,
And that lives like rent free in my head. And then now I really think about it because now, we have all of this entertainment. Like I
mhm,
don't even know how many streaming channels there are, plus all the social media. Plus there's just so much, right? Like you can find programming, entertainment literally instantly and it across so many platforms. And then you just think like with what's going on like in the world, and I'm like, oh, like we're all just We're all just so distracted. Like we're all
It's a
just looking.
built-in
Yeah,
diversion strategy.
right. We're just all here in some form, and then like all this stuff is just happening, and we're like, oh, I didn't even know. Yeah, I didn't see that. Like I didn't even know that. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It's kind of scary to think about that we just constantly have. There's just all of this. There's just all of this entertainment, and I'll literally scroll Netflix for like 45 minutes. This drives my wife crazy, and I won't find it. I won't watch anything.
Right.
And
You've
she's like,
watched all the trailers, but not an actual show or a
I don't
movie.
even watch
Yeah.
the trailers. I'm just like look
Yeah.
at it. I'm like, no, no, no. She's
Yeah.
like, she's like, you basically have memorized like everything that's on there.
Yeah.
Like, just pick something. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. Like, we've seen
Well,
the
and that's the thing is we're inundated with so many options now.
too
There's
much.
too
Yeah,
many options. Yeah.
correct.
And it's but like that's also become between all the streaming channels, the options, all of that. I mean, this is now our escapism as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we almost need an escape from the escapism. Then, like,
Well, it is.
we need to escape. Like, how many? I mean, we've watched a lot of shows. Like, if you named like a popular show, like we've probably seen it or at least tried it. And it's like, how many of those do I need to watch? Like, they're
Mm-hmm.
all pretty much the same. You can predict the plot of like everything. You know how it's going to go. It's like, do I just need to keep watching like different characters in a slightly different setting, basically doing the same thing? Like, I don't. Do I need to keep doing that? I don't think I need to keep doing that. And then we watch a lot of sports, and I feel like sports, at least, you don't know the outcome, and it's somewhat.
Yeah.
It's the same but different. I don't know,
But let's
but
think
it's
about this. Why? This is a pattern that everybody gets into. So why do we do it?
well, it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's you just flip on the remote and cue something up. Um, it feels safe, I think. Like
Mm-hmm.
even when it's going to happen, you're like, oh yeah, it's kind of like I'm interested in this. Like we like spy, like government spy type
Yeah.
shows,
Yeah.
CIA, FBI, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, let's think of the inverse. If you didn't do that, what would you be doing?
taking sports away too.
Yeah.
I would probably do more yard work. I would run more. I'd probably play more golf.
Those things require a lot more effort.
I'd probably read more.
Mm-hmm. Still more effort.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some combination of that.
Mm-hmm. All things that when you do it, you feel much better in the long run, but they require so much more effort up front.
Yeah.
And we're so used to instant gratification. We want the off button.
Yeah, and I think too, like especially when you work full time, and especially if it's still in an office, which seems to be kind of coming back. Like seems like most companies are kind of forcing the 5 days a week in an office. So I think if you spend 9 or 10 hours, grinding out a cubicle job of whatever type, and then you come home, then the thought of like doing yard work, running, going to play golf, reading a book, like just whatever. Like, yeah, it does. That seems like, yeah, I'm too tired. Like, I don't feel like doing that. So it's just, yeah, I gotta flip the TV on and I'll find something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you just kind of zone out for like 3 or 4 hours and then go to bed and do it all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or life. So yeah, so you talked about the pattern, like that's like a repeatable pattern. Talk about that, like the patterns versus problems that I've seen you talk about. That's an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We all have our habits or our hang-ups or, things that get in the way or, and they turn into labels a lot of times. Like I'm someone who has anxiety, or I'm someone who maybe gets depressed, or I'm someone who isn't good at socializing, or I don't know, fill in the blank, whatever you think your problem is. It's actually not, it might be causing you problems, but in reality, it's probably something that developed, or is something that developed as a adaptive technique, strategy when you were much younger. That's a pattern in your mind, and
Hmm.
now it's just no longer serving you well anymore. And and see this all the time in various forms. A lot of the high achievers that I work with, um, one of the biggest things I see is the inability to be able to turn it off, right?
Hmm.
That constantly going and doing, and they meet one goal, then they're on to the next, and then the next, and there's no rest. And yet every high achiever and entrepreneur wants freedom,
Yeah.
right? And yet they create this sort of unintentionally chaos of always having to be on and go and go. And so part of what I look at with people is, what is driving that behavior? Because it's a pattern on repeat. It's a loop that runs, that usually gets developed in your mind from a really young age.
Hmm.
For a lot of people, if we're sticking with that example, you know, um, maybe you grew up in a home where you had to be responsible for everything. And so you have a high sense of responsibility, and um and so you start to take on responsibility for things that aren't yours, and you don't know how to turn that off, and it's just
Yeah.
this pattern that keeps on going. Or maybe there's a deep sense of self-worth and value connected to productivity, and if I'm not producing, then I don't feel of value and worth. I don't feel good enough, and so I'm stuck in this pattern now of always having to produce, right? And
Yeah.
so it's not what it seems. It usually has to do with, you're stuck in a pattern because of something you're believing about yourself that you don't realize that you are. But
Yeah.
back then, it helped because it helped you survive home life. It helped you get acceptance from your parents or your friends, or it helped in some way meet some sort of need. It's just not helping you anymore.
Yeah. What? So what do you do? So let's go with the entrepreneur, high achiever, running a business. That is what I think a lot of people don't realize is it's actually a lot harder than being just an employee, because you
Hmm.
take on, there's just so much you have to handle when it's like your own thing. So using that as an example, then how do you help them try to turn that off, or at least be able to like step away and not feel guilty and not just constantly take on like more and more and more? Like
Hmm.
how do you try to help disrupt those patterns?
Yeah. So, I mean, it starts with recognizing that you can't fix what you don't understand. And in my work with high achievers, they don't lack intellect. And so,
Yeah.
I'm not here to just give them more knowledge, but we need to do a little bit of digging. That doesn't mean that we're going to do therapy, but
Yeah.
we got to drill down to, there is a invisible force that is driving your behavior. And as in the great words of one of our founding fathers of psychology, Carl Jung, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
Mm.
And it's one of my favorite quotes. It's so true because, 90 to 95% of our brain is our subconscious long-term memory. And so I do some drilling down with the people that I work with, because it's not the same for everybody. What you know the inabilities to slow down for someone could be rooted in um you know this value and self-worth issue for one person, or this fear of slowing down and resting could be rooted in it doesn't feel safe to issue
Mm.
for another person, based off of how they got, what happened with their wiring, growing up in in their childhood and into their adult life. And so we've got to we've got to look under the hood of the mind and revisit what is it that you are believing about you, because that belief system is now creating a ceiling for you. So we uncover what that is, and then look at where your nervous system starts to have triggers around that old belief. And so, for instance, every time I, like, let's say I've, because I've done this, I'll take a personal example. I have told myself I won't see clients on Fridays. What do? I see clients on Fridays.
Book somebody for Friday.
So how am I being complicit in the conditions I say I don't want? What is my part in that? Coming from a belief of, oh my gosh, what if, I don't have enough clients, so I need to make sure that I have enough clients so that, and on and on and on. And then we have to learn how to bring our nervous system into a more regulated state while consciously telling ourselves a different narrative, because we know now what's going on in the subconscious. Yeah. Right? But you can't do one without the other, because we lose access to our rational thinking and decision making when we have a jacked up nervous system. So when we're in a heightened state, and high achievers in particular, entrepreneurs, business owners, anybody who, most of us in our world these days, if you're go all the time, you have a heightened nervous system. And what happens is the blood flow in the body literally changes. We lose access to the parts of the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking and decision making. So you are literally not clear, not at your best when that is happening. And we need a little bit of that. We don't need to be calm all the time. I'm not saying that. We need to have some adrenaline. But to live in chronic states of that, you're not going to have an innovative brain. There's enough research to know that a relaxed mind is an innovative mind. And so we have to break through these sorts of beliefs that if I stop and rest and relax, I'm going to fall behind. There's all these sort of other secondary, I call them blocking beliefs, that get in the way as well. And so we have to start to really, it's like an onion, kind of pull this apart and begin to create safety in the body, and start to change the belief systems about yourself and who you are, so that you can change your operating system, and therefore level up in ways you didn't even know that you could.
Yeah. That reminds me of a book I read. It's called "It Takes What It Takes." I'm drawing a blank on the author's name, but a big part of that book is like a neutral mindset. This kind of trying not to get triggered. It's more based around like in your everyday life, but just stuck in traffic, or somebody cuts you off, or someone's rude to you at work, or your partner says something that you take the wrong way. All the types of things that can, if you're not careful, can like kind of get away from you or cause like a reaction. So his big thing is like, if you're neutral, you're kind of aware. So it's a lot of awareness of your state of mind. And then when something like that happens, instead of that instant like reaction of like, mad or outburst or something that you might regret or will not help the situation, you address it from this like kind of neutral place where you're just like, okay, like it's just very, you just don't react, or the reaction is calm, and like, you either let it go or you say something in a very calm demeanor or whatever, and try to neutralize the situation. And he's like, you'd be amazed if you try it, even just for like a day in your life, and just like really be aware of situations and then don't react. And it's like, it's so freeing. But we've just kind of been programmed with these like kind of instant charged reactions that typically don't work well. And I wonder how much that would help us. Not so much what you're talking about with like the achieving part and like the higher stuff, but if you could eliminate some of the like lower hanging things that we all deal with in some form kind of all the time, or consistently, and like not let that get you going. Yeah. That would give you more energy that you could then devote to like the higher, like the more challenging stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I think and there's benefit to that. So I refer to that as becoming the little inner scientist of yourself, become the observer of your mind. And and that ability to observe what's happening to you instead of reacting to what's happening to you,
Yeah.
it allows for a lot of reflection. Um, and and it's important because when you do that, you can really start to see, where does my mind go when these things pop up. But with that, you also want to be able to think, what am I thinking and feeling? Because I mean, our feelings give us data, and they're either coming from our thoughts, and our thoughts can be accurate or inaccurate, or our feelings could be coming because we're picking up on something in our environment that we need to pay attention to, and it's good data, it's good information. And like, if a predator is coming up to a mama bear, she's going to get angry and let out a big roar. She needs to get mad. She needs to set that
Yeah.
boundary, right? Like, we need to not do away with how we feel, but also recognize, to your point, that our mind creates unnecessary reactions and emotional responses depending on our frame of mind. One of
Yeah.
my other favorite quotes is by Aristotle, and I'll paraphrase it. But essentially, he says, the mark of a wise mind, or the mark of an educated mind, is the ability to have a thought and not believe it.
Yeah.
Don't believe everything you think,
It's
essentially.
kind of observing the thought and then, yeah, dismissing it if it's not true or doesn't serve you. And I do think, and then you're talking about like the kind of the evolutionary protection, where obviously a long time ago you had to be more aware because the threats could be life
Mm-hmm.
threatening. But for the most part, that's obviously the situation still exists, but in and out of our everyday life, like for the most part, your life is not being threatened. But I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we react as
Sure.
if it were, right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of understanding that most things, the rude customer or rude customer service or coworker or boss or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it's typically more indicative of what's going on in their life, and a lot of times has
Oh,
almost
yeah.
nothing to do with you. So it's like,
Yeah.
why give it a charged reaction, or why let it
Mm-hmm.
like bother you, because it's almost always something that's bothering them that you just happen
Mm-hmm.
to be, like, you just crossed paths with it at the wrong time. So don't don't waste a lot of energy on like trying to diagnose it or figure it out, and
Right.
just keep going.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. There's a joke in a therapy world. That's the joke is that, and this isn't actually true, but that therapists don't get angry about anything, because we understand that the nature of everybody's behavior is about themselves, so we don't get mad.
uh who do therapists see? Do they see other therapists? I've always wondered that.
I hope so.
I just thought, I've seen a lot of therapists in my life, and I'm always like, who did they talk to? Like,
Yeah.
did they go see a therapist sitting across from a therapist? And you're like, I know what we're gonna do here, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
I mean, I have a coach. I have a therapist. Yeah.
my first this is related to nothing other than, you might laugh, my first foray into therapy is my mom tricked me into going. I was 14,
Oh,
and
geez.
she was getting, she'd been dating, my parents divorced when I was really young. She'd been dating this guy for like 7 or 8 years, and then they were gonna get married, and so she thought that it would serve like me, I guess, to talk about the change, because I was gonna have a stepdad and he was gonna move in with us. And so I couldn't drive. I could stay home by myself, which I'd done for years as like an only child, latchkey kid. But she like made me go to the doctor. She said she had a doctor's appointment. I was like, all right. And she made me go, okay. And so I sit in the waiting room, paying no attention whatsoever. She goes back. Everything was normal to that point, and then she came back into the waiting room and was like, they're ready for you now. I was like, what are you talking about? And she was like, well, it was like an appointment for both of us. So like I went first, and now you're up. And I'm like so confused. And
Right.
eventually, I guess I did get up, and I went and sat in this chair, and it was just this strange guy and me, and I just had no idea what was going on. The whole
Right.
thing was like really foreign, and he like started talking and asking me a bunch of questions. I never said anything. I literally didn't speak. Um, and after like 10 or 12 minutes, he gave up, I think. And then I walked out, and she was like, "How'd it go?" And I was like, "Let's go home." And then
Yeah.
I got in the car and we drove home, and then I called my dad. I was like, "Guess what? Guess what mom did?" And then that just started like a whole like
Oh
shitstorm.
man.
And so yeah, that was my first foray into like, seeing a therapist. That's how you're supposed to do it, right?
Right, right, right. You were like, I plead silence.
Anyway, so many years later, we eventually went to a family counselor, the three of us. So my mom, soon to be stepdad, and myself went to it. Those were awful sessions, just completely terrible. Um, their marriage lasted about 5 years. I don't think that was a surprise to anyone. Anyway,
Hmm.
I digress. But many years later, I finally like found therapy on my own, and then
Hmm.
took me a while to find someone I trusted and liked, and then
Yeah,
yeah, and then kind of went from there. But
yeah. That's the
um,
key, is you gotta like and trust the person that you're working with.
yeah, and I if anybody's listening to this and they're not sure, I would be pretty quick to like try find someone else. Like I think you can tell for me, I can tell pretty quickly.
Hmm.
And I think I stayed with a few, like
Hmm.
because you were like, oh, I don't want to change, or we've had a couple sessions, I don't want to repeat all that again. But
Hmm.
you won't get as nearly as much out of it if you're
Yeah, for sure.
withholding, or you know you're just not that comfortable with them. So I would be like, try to find somebody that you really
I
have a
would
good
agree with
rapport,
that statement. Yeah. Don't
good
be afraid to
rapport with.
make the switch.
Yeah, for sure. What? So you talked about like success, and a lot of the people we work with, again, like the high achiever, entrepreneur, business person, whatever they're doing. But there's usually a high level of success, and you mentioned it. Like it never seems to be enough. So whether it's money or status or job title or whatever, like there's always more. Like you
Hmm.
typically never get somewhere, and you're like, this is it. Like I've made the most
Yeah.
money, I have the highest title. Like you can figure something else out. And I think a lot of us get stuck in the moving the goalposts, and like we do this, and then now
Yeah.
we have to do this, and then you can just literally do that forever. Um, talk a little bit about that, is like where success doesn't heal, but it really amplifies. And I'm sure
Hmm.
it's related to the same patterns and problems that we already talked
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah. Our mind doesn't just change, our happiness level doesn't just change because we meet some sort of external reward.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, success doesn't heal us. It amplifies what's ever in us. And if that's the good stuff, then it amplifies that. If it's issues that we already have, it amplifies that. So success is an amplifier to what's going on inside. We've heard of the saying, more money, more problems.
yeah.
And this is another way of saying that as well. And and success helps uh in a lot of ways, and and it does solve some issues momentarily. I have n- I don't know that I have seen, when someone hasn't done the work needed, when there's an internal problem that they're caught in a pattern and they're headed towards burnout, or there's a self-worth issue, or there's an underlining sense of, I don't know, fear of rejection or fear of failure or whatever, that I've not ever seen that magically go away just because they got the corner office,
Mm,
or just because they got um you know their first million, or
yeah.
whatever it is. That's not how neural pathways work. Your
Yeah.
neural pathways just don't start to rewire in your brain because this external things happen, because that's all an
Yeah.
internal thing. And um, life, business, relationships, they are a mirror to what's
Mm,
going on inside of us, and it's the great teacher, right? And so my encouragement for people is to to do the work now so you can enjoy the ride. Like,
yeah.
yeah, do all the things, do have as many goals as you want to have, but part of why I create the internal edge is I hate that so many people who want to do such good work in the world and have impact can't enjoy the journey like they should because they're feeling so much pressure or crumbling silently inside and don't want to say
Yeah.
anything because they're so good at going, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, I think the money one's tricky because that's kind of what so many of us were wired, like money equals success, right? And so the
Mm-hmm.
more money you have, the more successful you are. That's just kind of a common thing. And I don't know where I saw this a long time ago, but it was like if somebody's making say 30 or 40,000 a year and then they get to 100,000 a year, their level of happiness goes way up. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
huge jump, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they're making 100,000 a year and they start making $1 million a year, it's it's almost no change.
Mm-hmm.
Because once your basic needs, a little bit beyond like your basic needs, food, shelter, safety, once those are met, and then you have a little bit more on top to do some like nicer things for you, then that it just completely plateaus.
Yeah.
And so now you could just take all the money and it not like you already have everything that you need. And yeah, so you might have some nicer stuff or you might take some more trips or whatever, but it doesn't generate like any extra happiness. Like
Yeah.
you said, it feels good in the moment. Like you could buy an
Mm-hmm.
expensive car, so like that feels
Mm-hmm.
good, and that just wears off.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
then you're gonna buy another one, or you know what I mean? Like so it's so we get I
Right.
think we get caught up on we have to do more and more and more,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that it's gonna fill like that
Yep.
will feel better, and then it doesn't. And so yeah,
Yeah.
it's great you make it, so you have a little more money, and then that feeling that's
Mm-hmm.
fleeting, that's gone. So then what? And so yeah, so you're if you're not doing the work, if you're not enjoying the process, then it's what's the real point
Yeah.
if we're just trying
The
to
hi-
get to some goal?
yeah, the highest rates of depression for um a lot of celebrities, actors is right after they get the Grammy.
Hmm. Win the award. Yeah.
They win the award, and then the months following is usually when that happens.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate high in your chosen field, and then you get all the attention and then it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think it was on Instagram, like Matthew Perry was I think he was making $1 million a year for Friends or $1 million an episode for Friends. I think he was dating Julia Roberts or someone similar. He had a house overlooking on Malibu, like overlooking the
Mm-hmm.
ocean. Like he had all this like outward success, right? Like he had
Yeah.
made it, he was famous, he had money, whatever. And he said that was like the most unhappy he had like ever been.
Yeah. 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 Well, and I'll be a little vulnerable here because I was literally just the last few days reflecting on this, and I was like, man, why have I been so kind of antsy lately? And I realized it's because I didn't have a thing I was working towards that was like a high stakes thing.
Hmm.
Like um, I had my TEDx last October I had been working towards, and I had this big, um, pitch competition that I had been working towards in Vancouver for So Free, and I had these other things in between, and so there was this like, and I was like, oh, and I had to remind myself, like, I'm in a building phase right now. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like I had to really talk myself through the awareness of that and
Yeah.
recognize that I had gotten used to need not consciously, but just like enjoying having some big thing to do and then feeling kind of almost like I'm not doing anything important. I
Yeah.
know rationally I am, but there's just this feeling. So I had to have a little talk with myself about that. you
Mandy to
know?
Mandy talk.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, I feel that. I used to do a lot of triathlons. I got really into triathlons for about 5 years,
yeah.
and ended up doing like a half Ironman. The full was too much time, but I thought the half was doable. And so I hired a coach, and he had like a group. So I was part of the group and went through it. I spent like a year, a little over a year, like getting ready for it. I did it in May of 19 down in Tennessee, and it was fine. It was really hot that day, but like I made it. And the week after that, I might be the most depressed that I've ever been
Mm,
because I didn't have anything else I didn't have I didn't have to train. I was taking a week off to just
Yeah.
recover. So I had no training plan to follow. I had no workouts. The race was over,
Mhm.
and I was just like, what do I do now? Like I spent
Yeah.
like a year plus, like almost, not every day, but most days I was swing biking or running or going to classes and doing strength workouts, and it was on
Mhm.
the calendar and
Yeah. It
like
become a
all the
part of your
stuff.
identity.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was like, "Well, what now?" It was
Yeah.
terrible. And I remember, I think I texted him like Wednesday of that week, and I was like, I feel terrible. I feel awful. Like, is this normal? He was like, yeah, I probably should have warned, probably should have warned you, since that was like your
Yeah.
first one. Like, you're gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna experience a dip. Like
Mhm.
it will go away, but like right after you come off this high, and then kind of similar to what you're talking about, like winning the award, and
Mhm.
then it's all kind of over and gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do
Yeah.
have to kind of be aware of like when you're,
Mhm.
like you said, building and working phase, then you have the goal phase, and then you accomplish the goal, and then there's probably going to be, like, I assume after the TEDx there was probably some type of dip, because I'm
Mhm.
sure there was a ton of work and prep, and then actually doing it, and
Mhm.
then like now you don't have, you're not
Yeah.
continuing to do and prep, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's over.
Yeah, yeah. There was somewhat for sure. I think one of the things that helped me with that, um, because it wasn't as bad of a dip with that, is I remember when I got, I when I got to the stage, and it was, I've listened to TED and TEDx talks, all my life, and so it was a personal sort of bucket list item for me, and so I was really excited about it, and I told myself too that this is just another stage.
Hmm.
This is for this is um this is for whatever person in the room, and I think, in at least for, and I don't always do a great job at this, but that time I was able to really I think separate out putting this thing on this pedestal,
Hmm.
and my identity from that being separate, which helped with that,
Yeah.
to a degree. And I wrote about this in Entrepreneur not too long ago, talking about, especially with, AI, people worrying about AI taking over a lot of jobs and what that's doing psychologically to people and their identity with their work and what they do. That we have to be mindful that we are not placing so much of our value and worth of ourself in what we do. It is a part of who we are. It's not all of who we are.
Yeah.
And um and there's been so many times where, you know, I've I've felt this sort of like existential crisis because I'm, not doing the thing that feels like my identity.
Mhm.
Um and to your point, like like when you weren't running and training anymore, or you know, it's like, who am I now that I've gotten this Grammy? I've already met that goal. Now what? Yeah. And so, but it very much, uh, it is an identity. There's a big part of it that's an identity part of it. And then there's also, I think, a physiological part that we don't have all those feel good chemicals going through our body anymore as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
that's for sure true. And I think part of it is like, especially with a job, is that the time allotted is so out of proportion, because like if you're doing a 40-hour a week on site, in office type work, it's really
Hmm.
probably 50 or 60 hours of your week when you factor in getting ready
Hmm.
and commute and whatnot. And then like that's most of your day. And so you get home, it's 5 or 6 o'clock, and now you just have a few hours, whatever, 3 to 5 hours before you go to bed to do like life stuff, right? So
Hmm.
it's totally out of whack. And then the
Hmm.
weekends you try to spend catching up, which that's mostly just trying to recover from being so busy. And then you're doing like house stuff and chores and errands, and then you're right back in it. So I think it's hard to not wrap your identity into your work,
Yeah.
simply because it takes up so much of your time, and you
Yeah.
have so little time for like
Hmm.
fun stuff and friends and family and
Yeah.
relationships,
Yeah.
that it's
And I think
easy
that.
to get caught in the like, well, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a
Hmm.
whatever, because I spend literally 60 to 70 hours of my week doing some version of that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I think that's a good reflection question of, if this was all stripped away from me, who who am I?
Yeah.
What, or who would I want to be?
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
you know, and and having meaningful time to explore that. And I think one of the greatest gifts I've done for myself over the last year is get back to music, like
Hmm.
playing again.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Like what
and
instruments?
guitar.
Nice.
And I randomly, like, uh last Thanksgiving, um, I decided I was going to teach myself the harmonica. And I'm still not great at it at all. It's much harder than it looks. Um,
Always.
but it's, having, and it's just, I just like it. Like, for me, I don't play in front of people or anything like that. Like, that kind of terrify me, but like, I enjoy it. Um, and other things like that are back to who I was well before I even had my career.
Yeah.
And that's been so good. So,
Nice.
so good.
Well, I think it's good to have. We just added like an hour to the podcast because I could just talk music forever. I think it's good to have some outlet like that: writing, poetry, art, music,
Mhm.
sports. Doesn't it really doesn't matter, but something that is not directly tied to like making money or working.
Yeah.
That is an outlet.
Yeah.
Um, and I think and it's a little bit harder. It's easier as a kid because you have more time. It can become very challenging as an adult, and your time gets stretched. And it's easy to kick those to the side, or I'll do those when I have time, which you'll fill all the time, and never have time for them. I
Mhm.
think it's really important to prioritize whatever it is, because it's just so beneficial.
Mhm.
Just to get away from doing it, I know music specifically, like you use different parts of your brain when you're trying to create music or play music that you don't really use any
Mhm.
other time, and like it's very cathartic. So I think it's very important.
Yeah. 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 Getting back to yourself. Whatever that looks like. Whatever, and yeah, and not having time will always be an excuse.
Yeah,
That will be the number one excuse. Um and you are your number one priority. You have to be, or if you don't stop, your body's going to make you stop, and that's a harsh reality of the way the mind and body works. And so, um, show me your time and your money and your habits, and I'll show you your future. Right? That's how it goes.
no,
um,
I hear you there. My both of my parents are musically inclined, and they can both sing. My mom played the organ and the piano. My dad can play the guitar, and I didn't get any of it. It totally skipped me. Like I can't. I have no voice. Um, I have a radio voice. I can talk, but I can't hit like any note like at all. Um, my dad bought me a guitar because I asked him to. I was like 23. I said, if you buy me a cheap guitar, I'll teach myself how to play it. So he did. And this is before like YouTube and Tab. And I kind of did, but not ever really. And I think for me, the problem with music is I can't get good enough quick enough, and so I don't want to
mm,
go through.
Patience of it.
Yeah, like where you're just
Yeah.
not really. It feels like you're making no progress, and it's like I just want
Yeah.
to play stuff that's familiar, and I
Yeah.
can't really do that like well. And so I've tried to get back in. He eventually gave me like I have a nice guitar in my office because he got a different
Hmm.
one. So I have a very nice, it's Takamine acoustic electric. It's way too
Nice.
nice for me. And I've gotten like I'll go through spurts. I'm like, all right, like I'm really committed. It lasts like 2 or 3 days, and then I'm like, nope, I still suck, and then I quit.
So that's the negative voice that is directing your fate around guitar.
Yeah, like I just want it
Yeah.
to sound. I just want it to sound decent, not even good, but I just want it. Or I'll play something for like my wife or like one of my kids, and they're like, I have no idea what that is. I'm like, God damn it! And then I just like whatever, it's done. Like you should know this song. It's like super famous, and they're like, well, yeah, if if someone was good at playing the guitar, they would play it the right way. I'd recognize it, but you're like hitting like every fourth note, so I can't like pick it up.
So your automatic negative thoughts coupled with unreasonably high expectations of
Yes,
self are creating this self-sabotage
yes.
that or you could see it as a win. Maybe start a little smaller.
I'll see the because now there's all these like there's endless, right? Online tutorials, easy system, go from beginner to intermediate, like all this very compressed time frame, and I see all that stuff, and I'm like, nah, I don't think so. Maybe it's
One
true.
day.
I don't. Eh. The drums. My next music thing is I think I'd be better with the drums.
Mhm.
Like I'm pretty coordinated, and I can hear music. I can't read it, but like I can hear it.
Try it.
Um, and so I'm like, I need to take like some drum lessons. Plus, I think it'd be very like therapeutic just to like pound on the drums.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, for
you know,
sure. All that kinetic energy, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I remember Taylor Hawkins, the uh, now deceased Foo Fighters drummer. He was talking about
yeah.
like he was a kid, like trying to figure out what he was good at, and he had tried sports, wasn't it? He tried other instruments, didn't really work, and then he talks about like I don't know what the situation was, but like he ended up behind a drum kit, and the instructor like gave him some like musical like a 4/4, like some I don't know music like that, but he's like just do this, and he could just do it, and he was like that's like I knew right then
Mm,
like I had found it, like I just had it, and
mhm,
then he kept playing, and there you go. So I think that's the other thing too. If you are struggling to try to figure it out, it's like what kind of clicks or what connects or
mhm,
like what do you have kind of some basic baseline natural ability to
mhm,
do. It'll just happen. It'll happen a
mhm,
lot quicker.
mhm.
Doesn't
Yep, and
it's not prerequisite, but it'll speed it up.
mhm, and don't let the negative voice of the things that you aren't good at become a blanket black or white statement that now I'm not good at anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think most people are probably have more talent and are better at more things than they realize, but a lot of them they either have never tried or they tried and gave up like pretty quickly, would be my guess.
Mhm, mhm,
You can kind of limit yourself or you can pigeonhole yourself. Be like, well, I can only do this. It's probably not true.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think being okay with being bad at something is an important thing. If it was I knew I really wanted to try martial arts a long time ago, and I knew I needed to make friends as an adult because
Mm,
I was going through a divorce and I was moving and all of this stuff, and um, I was always into sports, but there was no women's basketball league anywhere nearby, and
yeah.
so I again had to have a conversation with myself, Mandy. You have to be okay with being bad at this, and I was for like a year until I was okay at it. But a lot of it's mindset.
Yeah. Which one did you choose? When I was growing up, it was karate only. Now there's like 15.
It's called HAP keto.
Got it. Okay. I've heard of Aikido. Is it related?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the same, similar, but art of coordinated power. So it's a lot of joint manipulation, a lot of using. It's like technically it's like made for smaller people to take down larger people, using like people's like momentum against them, things like that.
Yeah. Sounds like jujitsu.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, yeah, the one of my kids, he was being bullied at the time, and I wanted him to take something, and we settled on jujitsu because he was small, and then I didn't really want to do something like striking, like punching, and so he did it for a couple months. He didn't like it at all. I was way more into it than he was, and then the instructor offered like a free, like adult, like a 20 minutes with him, like the main guy. So I was like, yeah, sure. And that was maybe the most uncomfortable 20 minutes I've spent in a long time. Like just one on one with the mat with this guy. And he had the strongest hands of anyone that I've ever met. Like his hands, I don't know if you can measure hand strength, I would put that guy in like the top five, like in the world. Like he gripped me and I was like, he was not a big guy, but like he just had these hands, like it was incredible. And he like just was manipulating me and moving me around. And I was like, I'm glad we had this test. This is 100%. This is 100% no. So thanks for throwing me around like a rag doll for 20 minutes. I will see myself out. But yeah, no, I mean, it's that, yeah, that's good too. Like, it's just builds confidence in case you get in a bad situation. And then that's just like good information to know. Did you meet anyone? Did you make friends in doing it?
Yeah, I made some friends.
Did it work? Nice.
It did.
It is hard as an adult. Like, I have a very small social circle. Like, basically my two friends are from high school, and I never look to expand it. My wife is like, you need like more adult friends. And I'm like, I don't think I do. I think I'm good. Two is fine. She's like, two is not fine.
You're the expert on you, David.
Sometimes I'm not sure that's true. Yeah. Well, this is great. This is like the quickest hour of the podcast I've done.
I know, right?
In a long time. As we wrap it up, if someone's out there that listens to it, they feel like, okay, I could use some help, or my nervous system is a mess, or I'm kind of all over the place. Like, what's like something they could either try or like have in their back of their head to think about when situations arise, or some kind of direction they could head?
Yeah. Well, my brother and I created an app, and it's a nervous system reset app. So we have a patent pending on the technology, and it uses a technique called bilateral stimulation, which just means left and right side of your body, through audio tones, visuals, and vibrations from phone to watch. And it gets your nervous system out of a stress response in under 2 minutes. It's free. Right now it's for iOS only, so it's only for iPhone users, coming soon to Android. But you can find it on the App Store. And we've done about 2,000 sessions in the past year now, and because it integrates with your biometrics through the Apple Health Kit, we can now prove a 45% reduction in stress in under 2 minutes.
Nice.
So that's free for anybody who use it between calls, use it before you go to bed, use it when you wake up. I mean, whenever. You can be as discreet as you want to be with it.
Nice.
And the other part is, just start creating some awareness with yourself. If any of this has resonated with you, that, yeah, I'm wired and tired all the time. I can't seem to I meet my goals, but yeah, it still doesn't feel like enough, or there's just this internal pressure that doesn't seem to go away, and you're not enjoying the ride as much as you want to, then yeah, it's time to do something about it. I have my internal edge group specifically designed for that, for people. Just tell somebody, anybody. There's all sorts of resources out there. I've got a bunch on my website as well. So mandyemorris.com.
Nice. Yeah, I'll link the notes. I'll put the links in the show notes. Is LinkedIn the best way to find you, or your website? Like, if someone wants to reach out, what is the best way to find you?
LinkedIn, if you want to message me personally, but if you want to go to my website to find out more information, find out more about the internal edge, and the app, you can go to my website.
Awesome. Well, Mandy, this is super informative. Really enjoy the conversation. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.